Hello everyone. Couple things I wanted to say before we begin here today. I really was not expecting such a huge response from that last video that I posted. You guys definitely kept me very busy in the comment section. And I have to say I was really taken aback by all the incredibly nice things you guys had to say to me and about me there. Some of them I honestly almost did not even know how to respond. So I really wanted to give you guys just a really quick thank you. And just a little reminder here guys, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so if you have not yet gotten your special someone a gift, you really better get to it because you are running out of time guys. And for those of you who did ask me for suggestions when I put the offer out there in one of my previous videos, if any of you did decide to use one of my suggestions, I really do want to hear from you guys and let me know how it worked out. And with that in mind, since tomorrow is Valentine's Day, I decided I would tell you guys a story about my first love. Now my story begins almost 25 years ago, and I do have to say things were quite different back then than they are now. When I was younger, for the most part, we just didn't get into very serious relationships until roughly the 16 to 17 year old range. Now I mean granted, we did notice girls and girls notice guys at a younger age, starting around 13 or so, and you just kind of knew who you wanted to be around or spend more of your time with and talk to more often. But it really never went much further than that, and that is roughly where my story is going to begin. I want to say it started sometime when I was either in 7th or 8th grade when I met Tiffany. Now this is going to sound incredibly cliche, but I am going to say it. There was just something about her from the first moment that I saw her that I just knew I wanted to spend some time with her and get to know her better and talk to her as much as possible. And for those first couple of years while we were in middle school together, that's pretty much what it was. During our more innocent times, we just talked during our lunch breaks and in homeroom and in any classes we happened to have together. And once we moved on to high school, for those first couple of years, we really just continued to talk to each other a lot, and we developed a pretty strong friendship. But deep down, I'm sure you guys can relate to this, I always knew that as we got older, I wanted to be more than just friends with her. I really wanted to, move things to the next step and, become the whole boyfriend-girlfriend type thing and change that dynamic. Except for the fact that once we did reach that age, her mother was incredibly overprotective of her. She was very religious, and for the most part, Tiffany had to be home from school immediately after it ended. She wasn't allowed to go spend time at anyone's house, and she wasn't allowed to just go hang out with friends or do anything like that. So anything more serious at that point was pretty much out of the question. So for the most part, I had decided I was going to casually date other people here and there. Like I said, it was never anything too serious, and roughly once we hit our senior year, things began to change a little bit for her. Her father, who used to live much further away, moved to only living about 45 minutes away from us. So she began to go and spend the weekends with her father a couple times a month. So that kind of opened up some more options for her as far as getting out of her mother's house and getting away from that lockdown type situation. Except for the fact that at the time when I was dating other people here and there, another guy within our school had become attracted to her, and she started dating him a little bit. Except for the fact that he wasn't very comfortable with not being able to spend as much time with her as I guess he would have wanted to, and he wasn't very understanding of her situation. Not even to mention the fact that she wasn't interested in having sex with him at the time, and needless to say, I guess he lost patience with her and the entire situation and decided to break up with her. And of course, since we had become such good friends at this time, I had talked to her and kind of helped her through that whole situation a little bit. And I had thought this may be my opportunity to take things to the next level for us, but she was really just so hurt by what happened that she really just wasn't ready for anything like that. So I really did not put my feelings or my true feelings for her out there at the time. And then later on, I did miss another opportunity, or was delayed somewhat. One weekend she was spending with her father, her older half-sister had introduced her to a friend of her boyfriend, and I guess at the time they had very quickly hit it off, and then they started dating. except for the fact that this new guy was a little bit older and more aggressive than the average man. One day when she had come into school, I could tell that she was visibly upset and something had changed. She hadn't told her father or her sister or anyone else this, but basically what happened was this guy decided to force himself upon her and for all intents and purposes raped her. And she was actually very just scared of this guy in general, but I had convinced her that she obviously needed to break it off with him to, protect herself from that type of situation. And she really just did not want to tell her father about it because her father honestly would have seriously killed him. So basically what I convinced her to do is have him come up to school to pick her up one day, and the two of us would confront him together. Thankfully, that worked out without much incident, and I was able to help her get out of that situation. And after helping her get through that, her and I just became so much closer emotionally that it really didn't take long for her to realize that there was something more between us and we could be something more than friends. So one day while we were talking, I decided I was just going to put my feelings out there and lay all my cards out on the table. And thankfully, she felt the same way, and we moved our relationship to the next stage of being that whole boyfriend-girlfriend thing. And it was tough early on. We only saw each other in school, and she would stop by for just a few moments when she had to make a trip to the store for her mother to run to the grocery store, whatever it may be. And I only saw her pretty much on one day every other weekend that she did spend with her father. But as our relationship began to grow and our feelings for each other got stronger, she decided to sever ties with her mother and move in with her father full time so that we could be together much more often than we were before. And this posed an entirely different set of challenges as well, due to the fact that her father did live almost an hour away from where we went to school, that I had to drive her home from school pretty much every day. And really due to that distance, we couldn't really see each other much during the week, and we only had our weekends together. And it was fantastic. I mean, I really did love her more than I could even put into words. But as the months continued to move forward and we were nearing the end of our senior year, she was planning on going to college quite some distance away, and a friend of mine had started putting doubts in my head that the relationship would work once that happened. And also about the same time, I had met another girl named Jen in one of my math classes. Her and I quickly became friends. We talked a lot while we were in school as well. And I'm not going to lie, I did start to develop feelings for her as well. A lot of it did have to do with all the doubts that were starting to swirl around in my head due to the many things that my friend had convinced me of. So as we neared the end of our senior year and graduation was approaching, I decided I was going to break it off with Tiffany and then possibly begin to pursue Jen. But once we graduated and another month or so went by, my feelings really had changed, and I realized what a mistake I had made. So I actually did ask, and I'm not going to lie, somewhat beg Tiffany to take me back, but she had already started dating someone else and didn't do it. But looking back at the whole situation all these years later, do I regret what my decisions I made with my first love? Yes and no. Yes, because I let my friend influence me in that way, and I broke up with her for all the wrong reasons. No, because even though Jen and I never took our relationship to the next level, her and I became amazing friends, and that friendship lasted for many years. I wouldn't trade the years that we spent together as friends for anything. Those were some of the best memories I have of that time in my life. And every relationship that we have throughout our life, both good and bad, the right and wrong decisions we make, as long as we learn something from each one of those events, it really does help us grow as a person and shape who we become when we're much older. And in the end, that's really what life is all about. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the story that I shared with you today. I will talk to you guys soon, and as always, I hope you have a good one.